Hi guys, and welcome to a quick video breakdown of the Junior Certificate History exam. Now, take note that this video is for students who are doing the Junior Certificate exam up to 2020, and it's what we would call the old course. The new course will come in later on down the line with the videos, and we'll do this. So for those who are watching this, this is specifically for third years who are taking the exam in 2020. Now, this is just a quick video to show you how the paper is broken down, how we allocate our time, and what the examiners are looking for in the marking scheme. So, what you know already about the exam layout, and this is how we become exam savvy people. It's 6 sections, so 6 different questions. You've seen these ad nauseum now, and the best way at this stage in the run up to exams is keep practicing your exam papers and looking at the patterns and looking at the same style of questions that repeat themselves over and over and over again. So you'll see section 1 is what we call the picture questions and the short questions, and there'll be 3 of them. Section 2 will be analysing your skills of a historian as a document with 2 different document questions. For want of a better word, you'll be doing comprehensions, so reading and answering the questions. Section 3 is where your acquired knowledge really comes into play, where you have 20 short questions, you have to answer at least 10. Now, this will be divided between first, second, and third year questions, and also you can only be marked in your best 10. Absolutely, to give yourself the best chance, do all 20 or do as many of them as you can. But what I want you to know is that when we're talking about time constraints and time limits in the minute, it's important not to get bogged down by just doing these 20 questions, because again, you're only marked on your best 10. Section 4 is, I suppose, the essay question, or what we call the people in history, the ones that we can learn off and become exam savvy about. And there'll be 2 different sections containing 3 people in histories each. And you must do 1 people in history from section A and 1 from section B. So, and again, that's a mixture of first, second, and third year stuff. Section 5 is predominantly second year stuff, but again, it's our first long question, which consists of several short questions and a count that you have to do. And section 6 will consist of 4 long questions where you answer at least 2. And again, the majority of that will come from third year, but there are times where you can see first and second year topics come about. Now, the marking scheme. So as well as allocating our marks and how we allocate our time, it's important to know the breakdown of it. So section 1 is 15 marks. So you get 5 marks for each picture. Section 2 is again 15 marks. So you get 8 marks for your first document and 6 for the second. So you see, considering the time allocated and for the marks allowed, you don't really need to spend too long on section 1 and 2. Section 3 then is 20 marks. Okay, so it's 2 for each question. So again, 10 by 2 is 20. Section 4 is 40 marks broken down into 2 20-mark people in history answers and questions. Section 5 is broken down, that long question, into 30 marks, and section 6 is 60 marks. So you get, again, 30 marks for each of the 2 sections that you'll do, and that makes the overall exam out of 180 marks. So, again, looking at our marking scheme and how we break it down into timing. For section 1, which is 15 marks, broken down to 5 for each picture, you really should spend no more than 10 minutes. Same with section 2 and same with section 3. So for the picture question, comprehension, and the short questions, which really are just a detailed answer with an example, you're looking at just around half an hour. Okay, 10 minutes each. So you give yourself, again, 20 to 25 minutes to do your people in history properly. Section 5, your long question, depending on how your allocation is, and it's important to have a watch, or look at the time in the hall, you're looking again at 25 to 30 minutes. It's important, again, I suppose, to just take a sidebar here and note, when I say a watch, guys, an analog or a digital clock, you're not allowed smart watches, your phones. Same standard exam rules apply here, but just people have been caught out before with the smart watches. So if you have an Apple Watch or an Android watch or a Samsung watch or a Fitbit, just leave it off. Get a cheap digital or analog watch and just use that instead. So you have section 5, you're looking at half an hour, and then section 6, you're really, because it's broken down into 2 parts, you're allocating 30 minutes per each question in section 6, so you're looking at an hour. And this then would leave you with in and around 10 minutes at the end of the exam for you to check over your work. Now, it is important to note that you stick to these time limits. That if you go over the 30 minutes on a certain section, or you go over the allocated time, leave a space and come back to it. We do not fall into the trap of spending too long on one question and then costing yourselves potentially more marks in the exam questions that are worth more. So how do we do the exam? If I were you, what I would always advise is I would start off with the people in history questions. They're the things that you spend the most time learning off, and because it's one per section, you'll have one studied for each section. You can write these down quickly. You can get them off. As we said, you're looking at 20 to 25 minutes. So because you've learned these off, they're fresh in your head. Get them out of the way, and they shouldn't take you too long because, again, they're at the forefront of your mind. And then once you do that, the idea is that you start off strong, and that momentum will carry you through the rest of the paper and give you that self-confidence. And by doing that stuff, the stuff that you have learned off, and by being able to transfer that down onto the page and onto the exam straight away, it might even give you more time at the end of the exam. Now, I would also say start in order of importance. So with the people in history and with the section 5 and section 6, you have to do the 2 long questions first after the people in history, as these carry the highest marks. And again, looking at our breakdown, you're looking at the bones of an hour and a half between the 2 questions in section 6 and the long question in section 5. It's a substantial amount of time. Okay? It's the bulk of the exam. If you do this last, you may run out of time, or you may find out if you've left it to the end, you're rushing to get things down on paper, and you can't afford to let this happen. So it's better to get the long, detailed questions out of the way, and then leave the picture questions and the comprehension questions and the section 3 people in history, which are largely one sentence answers anyway, till the very end, because you can jot them out quickly rather than doing it the other way around. So essentially what you're doing is you're doing the paper in reverse. And then after doing these 2 parts of the exam and all the heavy stuff, and I suppose the stuff that will take the most effort and the most amount of writing and the highest level of your acquired knowledge, that's out of the way, you can do the other parts of the exam in any order. Because largely, as we said, you're looking at about 10 minutes for each question, so it's not going to take too long for you anyway. And it shouldn't really make a difference. If you're stuck in any part of the exam, as we said, leave it and come back to it again at the end if you have time. When you're finished, look over your exam again and again and again to avoid missing questions and making simple mistakes. The one thing I would say as well, above all else, is take your time, read the question, and even if you finish your exam early, use that time to just read over. See if when you're writing at speed, if you left anything out, if there's something you wrote that didn't make sense. Guys, especially the people in histories, leave no ambiguity and leave no grey area. You've done the work, you've studied it, show off that knowledge. Use your analysis as a historian. Best of luck, enjoy the exam guys, and I'll see you again soon with another video. Bye bye.